Hi, this is Jim Marion with Coldwell Banker.
And this is Anthony Meisner over at Land Title. Thank you for joining us today on Get Real with Blockchain. Today we have Janelle and Egan with us, and they are the founders of Stackhouse, which is all the rage here in the Denver metro area. And they're making headlines everywhere, good, bad, and ugly, but they're the perfect person for our audience, right? You two are doing some amazing things. Why don't you tell us a little bit about Stackhouse and why you're on a blockchain podcast?
Yeah. Hello, everyone. It is so great to be here with you. I'm Dr. Janelle Briggs, co-founder and CEO of Stackhouse. This is my partner, Egan, my co-founder and life partner as well. And Stackhouse is a real estate startup, and our goal is to add a new column of ownership to the market. We're building the world's first vertical community for movable container homes in downtown Denver.
Couldn't say it better myself. That's why she's the CEO.
Excellent. Yeah, feel free, audience at home, to check out stackhouse.life, stackhouse.life online, just to get a visual representation kind of these, buildings, multi-story, structures they're doing. So you have kind of an interesting spin, a unique spin, essentially, on what defines a building a little bit in this regard, and the fact that there's living units in them. But can you describe what these buildings look like in a little more detail and what makes them unique?
Yeah, so Stackhouse Tower is essentially an apartment building where all of the apartments or condos are shipping containers, and we have patented the technology necessary to remove the house from the building, put it on a truck, and send it to another tower, load it back into that building, connect it to utilities, and allow you to move your entire home from city to city. Or the one we're in, we lived in a KOA campsite in New Mexico for several months. So our vision is one home that suits all of your needs for as long as humanly possible, instead of having to move your things. And that infrastructure allows us a lot more flexibility than traditional real estate, where they refer to it as the patron system in architecture schools, where the leader finds a piece that they want to develop and they put it under contract and try to design the most expensive thing they can and find people to buy that. Our vision is to let our owners decide what house best fits their needs and tell us where they want to live. And then, because we can get so much more density on site, we can essentially fit that tower in any zip code in the country.
Stackhouse essentially takes highest and best use and asks our residents what that is. We're the first developer who doesn't care what the interior finish of our residents' homes look like. If you want Formica because you are price conscious, that is cool with us. If you want a tricked out unit, we will source whatever you want and make your container home your dream. We started this company back in 2017, and the model home that we're in right now is my dream house. I got to pick all of the appliances in the kitchen. There's a Japanese soaking tub in our bathroom, and those were the things that were most important to me in designing our forever home. We can make any dream come alive in 320 square feet, and that's what Stackhouse is about. Making sure that you have the house that meets your needs and allows you to live your best life. And our goal is to build Stackhouse communities around the country, around the world, so that you can take that home wherever it is that you want to be.
So just following up on that, and I think you aren't telling us what's behind you. So there's a big philosophy going on with Stackhouse you haven't touched on yet. So what's happening back there?
So we are heavily tech forward. We are big believers. And so what you're seeing behind us are the backup batteries for our solar panels. This unit is capable of powering itself almost entirely, other than the range, which is 220. So we're able to run this entire unit in the middle of the desert, or in the middle of Denver, where we are right now. And the benefit of having those solar panels is that they are always generating power, and even more power than we're able to use. And so that's what initially got us looking at crypto as a use for the excess power that we're generating that we can't shove into our batteries during the day to power our units overnight.
And you're also, you have a model where you're selling some of these units, but then you're also providing rental spaces as well for some of these, correct?
We've tried to be really forward thinking and flexible in how folks can live in a Stackhouse home. So our first development here in Denver will have 62 docking spaces. And there are two ways that you can live in a Stackhouse home. You can purchase a container home and one of the docks in our co-op. And so the starting all-in move-in price for folks who want to be a Stackhouse homeowner is $310,000. So that comes with your completely like custom-built container home and your docking space in the building. Our monthly HOA is $250. So that covers all of your utilities, your parking, internet, everything that you need. But for some folks, like living in 320 square feet sounds appealing, but
maybe a little scary.
Yeah. So we are selling NFTs that represent a 3, 6, or 12-month stay in a fully furnished Stackhouse home. So if you want to try before you buy, you can buy an NFT and come try out the Stackhouse life.
Well, since you went there with the NFTs, why don't we just, give a real brief, if you don't mind explaining to the folks at home, in case they're unfamiliar with what all the kids are doing these days, what is an NFT?
So an NFT stands for non-fungible token, and it is a token that is tied to a blockchain contract. And the way that it has been functioning is as a way to track ownership of online assets, so that those owners can be compensated every time those assets are used by businesses. But the way that we intend to use it is to control occupancy of this asset. And so whomever ends up with the NFT at the end, because of course, if you're not able to use it, you're able to sell that NFT online to someone else for what you paid or whatever the market demands for that stay in the tower. So if you're somewhat concerned about inflation, this is a way that you're able to buy 2 years worth of housing for 2021 prices and redeem them in 2023. Sorry, I always get off on that one.
I love it. What's an NFT and why are we using
it? So it's tied to a contract. So we are able to write the rules of staying in a Stackhouse tower and connect it to that NFT when we sell it. So that is tied to that token, regardless of who the owner is. And so we don't have to individually approve each subtenant as the NFT moves through ownership, because we're only concerned with the end user who shows up and presents the NFT, and they are able to read the contract and know what the requirements of occupancy are, so that it's not a surprise to them. And so if you want to be the one who ends up using the NFT, you're going to know exactly what's required of you when you get there. And I have this beautiful vision of you showing up with your NFT on your phone and presenting it to our QR reader, and the doors opening up and your phone telling you that your home is on floor 4, and the elevator opens and you walk in and it takes you right up there and the door opens. All of this can be facilitated very easily. And I'm actually speaking on a panel at QAV on Monday about the future of home tech and how exciting it really is right now. But anyway, that's how we plan to use an NFT, is as a way to represent time in the tower, so that we can raise money up front and actually gauge demand for this lifestyle without having to rely on traditional sources of real estate investment, which are usually far more conservative than this concept would allow.
And so, to be clear, the NFT is going to be used for the what you guys call the time vouchers, which are those 3, 6, 12-month type of time frames, whereas you still are selling traditional units through traditional deeded real estate as well. So you've got kind of a beautiful split where you're testing the waters on a new technology and maybe make it a little more nimble, in some ways, and then you're also still you're doing the traditional route of selling on the other side of it.
Yep, I came up in traditional real estate, and so I still sort of err on that side. And so we opened up to purchasers first, and next week we will be opening up NFT vouchers for sale.
Oh, how exciting! So next week is the launch of the NFT side.
Yeah,
Oh.
Our unit, the one we're sitting in here, will be at the Denver Tiny House Expo at the Western Center on Saturday and Sunday, and then Monday we will open up. So if you want to see what a model unit looks like, you can come by and take a look.
Yeah, that's very exciting. I think one of the biggest things that you guys have overcome here is you're dealing with affordable housing, which we really haven't talked about at all. And you guys kind of explained to me when we met just how important that was to you. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I think the first thing we say is that we use the word attainable housing at Stackhouse. Affordable housing does have particular government definitions, and so we want to be cognizant of that. One of our starting goals was to be able to build housing that we could afford. We're millennials, where I'm lucky that I don't have student debt. I was able to pay it off with my first job, but that is not a typical story. And even with being able to spend my entire income on housing, there was no home I could buy. And so when we started this idea, our goal was to make sure that we could build housing faster, because we believe that adding housing to the market is what will solve the crisis that we're in. We don't have enough housing built for the people who need and want and are able to purchase. And so we are thrilled that our starting price is $310. The average home price in Denver is well over $500,000. And our goal is that at scale, we will be the attainable home ownership option for the country. We can build faster than anyone else. Egan's previous experience in titling condos in San Francisco, to get a standard condo building approved to build can take years. And our concept was approved by the city of Denver in about 6 months. And so with our track record, with our price point, we want to be the solution that our country, and quite frankly, that the world needs. And we believe in density, we believe in community, and Stackhouse ties those things together.
Yeah, the real estate market is ripe for disruption and or innovation. And that's what we want Stackhouse. That was our original principle, was to add a new column of value, the same way the automobile allowed transportation to an entirely new group of people. That's what we want to be, is the automobile of housing, essentially.
We learned a lot in 2020 just with how nomadic folks can be with the internet, and that place can be flexible. And so like one of my future visions for Stackhouse is that we repurpose cruise ships. And instead of there being those estate rooms, like those become docking stations for Stackhouse containers, and you can live in your home as you move from LA to Tokyo. I think with how connected we can be and how exciting and beautiful the world is, people want to experience it. And now that our work lives have come up to the internet age and we can do our jobs from anywhere, people want to see the world, and we can empower them to do that in a home that meets their needs and doesn't gentrify. Like that's a big push that we get often. And one of the things that we look for in the locations that we build is that we aren't displacing. We purchase, or where the Denver location is on a 4-bay car wash. The piece we were looking at previously in Tucson was a vacant lot. And so we take the work of housing and community very seriously, because the last thing we need or want to be is a problem for folks. But by building housing where it's needed, we can be a solution.
Well, I think what is interesting and probably underappreciated is just the speed to market, that you touched upon with the 6-month approval with Denver, because when you're reinventing a wheel, in a lot of cases, it's a multi-year process. Just look at like kind of what the growing pains Uber went through with, cities taking years to approve, their services, or heck, even motorized scooters, right? Cities taking years to decide whether or not they're going to allow this in their malls. So to be able to, kind of create a whole new business model in real estate and get it approved by the city within 6 months, I think is a phenomenal indication of the fact that it's not rocket science to essentially do this, to get approval. But, obviously bringing some great technologies to the table that really enhance the experience and can make it a lot more nimble as you move along. So that's really exciting to see, because I think then from a scalability perspective, it widens the road quite a bit for you.
Yeah, like I mentioned in the beginning, we sort of look to turn real estate on its head, and instead of leading with what we want to build and think will be most successful, we read the code and saw what was permitted in there so that we could build faster than traditional developers. We see that as our only advantage, given that they have such substantial assets behind them. All we can do is innovate in between that 7-year cycle and try to scrounge up as much real estate as possible while they're waiting.
So what's the time frame on building your building? We talked about 6 months in the approval process in Denver. What are you guys looking at for deliveries? Do you have any idea yet?
So we're quoting an 18-month C of O. So we should be welcoming our residents into the tower before Christmas of 2022 or New Year's, depending on which holiday you celebrate. And again, that's very, very fast for something that has never been constructed ever. The first 3 run of our model container units will be built out by Roxbox in the spring of 2022. So our residents can go and take a tour and see if they prefer a studio, a 1-bedroom, or the 1-bedroom flex, which has become very, very popular with the crypto and tech crowd. They love having an additional room on the other side of the bathroom that they can close off and vent out or do whatever they want to do with. So that's what we're most excited about, is getting more units into the real world and showing people what can be done in a shipping container house, because everyone is so accustomed to seeing the shiplap sides and the tiny little cubby holes. And we've built out an actual home here. We're excited to show it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, your place is amazing. When I got to see it the other day, I was just dumbfounded at how much space you can make in such a small area. So yeah, it's wonderful. It's
world, Anthony. It's so exciting. Also, like one of the things I think Egan and I don't talk enough about is the amazing partners that we have. Like Roxbox is an incredible container builder. They've done amazing projects for Adidas, for climbing wall companies, just the brains in that company. We are so excited to collaborate with. All of our purchase customers, so those who buy their container home, will get a one-on-one consultation with an interior designer from Havenly. They're a local interior design firm. They have an incredible app. So we've done a lot of work to make sure that even the purchase process and designing your home is an incredible experience. And so, we're also working with you, Anthony, on title. So like having great people hold the hands of our customers when they're purchasing something new is really key. We're working with Sarah Wells at Live Work Denver and her team of real estate agents. And we are just so grateful to have folks that believe in this concept and want to see it be a success.
And, I know that, you've touched upon on your website, and you've got obviously the banks behind you of solar power, but, sustainability is a big part of this. So, as far as your manufacturer partner and as far as just your general approach, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you're doing as far as your sustainability approach?
So we believe that sustainability should be engineered into everything we do, and it should require nothing of our residents. It should be like vitamin D in milk or iodine in salt. It's something that we all get and we don't even know it, and we're all doing good whether we know it or not. So every unit will come with backup batteries attached to it so that we can connect the unit to the building itself and generate power that's stored in the units themselves. And that's because we include your utility payments in our HOA fee or our membership fee. And that's because when you move from tower to tower, you can't be setting up new utility deposits in every city you get to. So that one fee covers all of your needs when you're in a Stackhouse tower. We've also engineered rainwater catchment into the towers that are in cities and states that permit it, as well as gray water. And we always look to install the towers in locations where public transit is very close and where the area has a high walkability score. So we can walk to Meow Wolf from here. We can walk to Alamo Draft House from here. That's how we seek to make things more sustainable.
So your top of your building's covered in solar panels is what you're telling us.
The top and the south facing facade, we have a big sign that runs the full 7 stories of the south face of our building, and behind it is all solar panels.
Oh, cool.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
More electricity we need to run into the miners during the day.
That's about right.
And you touched upon with the NFTs before, how there's a whole bunch of rules that are inherently built into the NFTs, and in cities around the country they're cracking down more on short-term rentals, and they're trying to remove the idea that you can have a quasi hotel created essentially. So I'm assuming that when these rules are transferred over to the new NFT holder for these units, that it's going to have some things in there about not subletting or not having short-term rentals in there. Is that correct right there with that?
Yes. So we,
The NFTs cannot be divided or sold off in smaller sections. The city of Denver does not allow rental shorter than 3 months unless it's your primary residence, and Stackhouse does not allow Airbnbs in our first development. This is our proof of concept, and so we are here to prove that people want to live this way, not that they want to Airbnb this way.
Yeah. And is there then, other than the city doing enforcement, is there anything you guys have inherent? Is there a building management, or is there any type of oversight at all that you're applying to this?
Absolutely. And that's part of our community agreement that Stackhouse homes are primary residences. So if you purchase, if you Airbnb, either way, what you purchase is for you.
If you purchase for NFT,
yeah,
you have to stay.
So give us a profile of the typical interested party at this point in time. Who's kind of talking to you right now more than anyone else? What does that person, what kind of clothes do they know? What designer fashion do they like? Just simply, what does that person look like in a lot of ways?
This is my favorite question, Jim.
Oh, thanks.
And it's the question that we've had the answer to since the beginning, since 2017. We do not build housing for a particular type of person. That's a mindset that most developers have. And again, that ties back to what they can charge the most for with what they're building. By kind of designing Stackhouse for ourselves, for millennials, like being conscious of the price, making sure that the homes are just beautiful and meet your needs. Sustainable. We get 3 groups of people. We get millennials who are priced out of the housing market, obviously. We get what we lovingly call downsizing boomers. So they have a home, they're willing to sell it, but if they do, they have to know that what they buy will meet the rest of their housing needs for the rest of their life, and Stackhouse does that. And then we also get Gen Xers who have had, some sort of a life event. They're empty nesters, perhaps going through a relationship change, and they want something for themselves that is easily manageable. Like the American dream of owning a house with a picket fence is a dream that stuck decades ago. Like, we don't have time or energy, or do we want to put the effort into maintaining a yard or a large home? And
I derive no joy from a fence.
And so we are also really looking at how the world is changing and how people are living differently with different priorities. And so for folks who want a more streamlined way of living where they don't have to worry about their home at all, Stackhouse is an incredible option.
Cool. Good. So where do you feel nationally some of the sweet spots for this type of concept are, besides, our backyard of Denver?
We've picked 25 cities across the US to target. There's cities like Atlanta, Dallas, Seattle,
San Diego.
Cities with a growing millennial population, a high cost of living, but local and city and state governments who are open to innovation, who recognize that we need new solutions for age-old problems. And that's what Stackhouse is. In a lot of ways, there's nothing unique about our homes. It's a house. We build just like everyone else, but we're able to build faster and put more folks into homes on smaller pieces of land. Like this lot that we're on right now is less than 12,000 square feet, and we're fitting 62 homes on this footprint.
Wow. That's about the footprint of my house.
No comment.
I've been every which way. And, I was living in a 2,800 square foot house when Janelle and I met, and I moved her in. And, I had 3 sets of dishes and like 5 thrift stores worth of clothing, and it would take a month to do all the laundry. It was insane. And it is so nice to take your dishes out of the dishwasher and put them right in the cabinet. That's it. Just right, not walk across the kitchen and around the island and all that stuff you have for the 1 party or 2 parties a year.
Yeah.
It's not worth it. This is perfect.
Yeah. We talked a little bit about the NFTs before, and you were kind enough to explain, what they are to people. I think because they are such a newer type of, way to trade goods. Can you explain how the aftermarket works with that? So, and explain the process where somebody does say, do a time voucher for 6 months, right? And then that expires, so what happens, how is that time voucher renewed then for the next person? How are things traded? Can you just give a brief explanation as far as, the afterlife of it and the whole life cycle?
Sure. So when we mint an NFT, we essentially create an obligation on Stackhouse's part to provide housing for the period of time on the NFT. And we offer it for a set price. We're looking about $2,000 a month, so $6K for a 3-month voucher in the tower. And then it'll be less expensive if you buy 6 months and a year. I can't get into all of that pricing, but it'll be on our website very, very shortly. And so when you buy that voucher, you pay the $6K for it, and you are then subject to the contract that is tied to that NFT. If you are not able to use it, or you decide that you've gotten a good offer to sell it, you've noticed that others are selling for more than $6,000 for that same stay, then you can offer your NFT for sale to someone else who will purchase it either in dollars or in crypto. And that's part of why we went with the NFT, is it allows us to accept payments for that time in crypto, which gives additional flexibility to our users, because they might not have paid a dollar for dollar value for that crypto when they initially got it. So they might be and have demonstrated a willingness to be more adventurous than traditional real estate developers and investors.
Yeah. And so, you on your website, you mentioned some of these NFT marketplaces, Rareable, OpenSea, where they, buy and sell these goods. So as far as, what forms of crypto to take and stuff, it's whatever the marketplaces essentially are allowing. And then you as the owner of that NFT decide whether you're accepting that or not, correct?
Yeah, we're going to start strictly accepting in Ethereum, but you can transfer from Bitcoin into Ethereum pretty quickly nowadays. It's not that big of a deal, and we are looking at expanding also to accepting Bitcoin. And other than that, we're open. If you have a strong feeling about some other currency, just reach out to us and let us know. We're open.
Cardano.
There you go. Well,
One thing that we are working on is a second development in Puerto Rico.
Oh, you're letting all the cats out.
Just a little bit.
All
Like we don't have a time frame, but we are in talks with a group that has a beachfront property in Puerto Rico. And we are really excited about the work that the Puerto Rican government is doing on crypto and entrepreneurship. They have a lot of really great programs that they're using to help bolster their economy. And we are looking at how we can both build in Puerto Rico and support the work that they're doing there. I wish I was a little bit younger. They've got great incentive programs for young entrepreneurs.
Yeah, if you're under 30 and you start a business there is no income tax. It's a beautiful place.
Well, that's assuming your business makes any money to worry about the income tax, but yes. Yeah, and so as far as kind of where you're headed in the future, you've got irons in the fire of Puerto Rico, and you've identified 25 other cities in the United States. So the next 3-year kind of plan is to obviously finish the Denver model, prove the concept, and so then roll it out to maybe stick your toes in the water for some of these other marketplaces, correct?
Absolutely. And we are always happy to chat with developers, landowners. Like we had a call last week with a woman in Atlanta who thinks Stackhouse could be a great fit there. And so she's, looking for some pieces that might work for us. I think one of the things that is most important for us is to articulate that we are not one and done in Denver. We are talking with folks across the country about where to build next. And so if one of your listeners is, enthusiastic about what we're building and they know someone with land, we'd love to talk. Like the best part of our day is talking about what we're building and why, because every conversation moves the needle. You never know who you're talking to that might know someone that can help. And so we're always grateful for opportunities to meet with folks.
Excellent. Well, good. Anything else that you?
I don't have anything else. Is there anything else you want to tell our listeners?
The future is in crypto and real estate. Decentralized.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. Thank you so much for coming on. It's been a pleasure getting to know both of you and working with you. I was just super excited that we could put you on the podcast and that we can help promote your dream.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, best of luck with the project. It sounds awesome. So if you guys at home would like to check out more about Stackhouse, please go to Stackhouse, STACK house, all one word, .life. And you can see pictures of the project and more functionality, as well as floor plans and things like that. And it's got a lot of great information. And if you want to apply to their short-term housing, as well as then looking at prices for the purchases, go right ahead. It's a great site to check out. So thanks again, everybody. Have a great one. This is Jim Marion and Anthony Meisner here at Get Real with Blockchain. We're here with the fine folks at Stackhouse. Have a great day and take care.
Thank you.